and welcome to So What If I Sew. I'm Jess and this is my channel. It's all about dressmaking, sewing and all things stitch related. This week you joined me for a sew along I've been so excited to do. It's for the gorgeous Amaya blouse by a pattern by Made My Wardrobe, and I'm using some stunning fabric I bought from the rag shop earlier last month. So this is it here. It's beautiful red spot cotton. If I hold it up you can see it's got little raised spots on one side, sometimes called Swiss cotton or Derby cotton. It's got a stunning drape. It's opaque enough to see form but you can't see colour, and I am making the Amaya blouse. Is a kind of folk style blouse with a loose fit. It's got a keyhole front with a tie and then fluted sleeves from the elbow. So there's some techniques there I've not done before. It's not really something I'd usually wear, but actually, funny story, I bought this gorgeous fabric from the rag shop. I popped it on my story and the lovely lady from the rag shop suggested the Amaya blouse pattern as something that might work well. So I went and had a look and I went, you know what? I don't have anything like it. I love the colour. This fabric is so gorgeous. It needs a pattern that will let it show off, and it has a lot of plain areas to let the fabric do the talking, really. So I thought, you know what? Great idea, let's do it. So today I have sneakily, my fabric looks a little bit wrinkled because it's been pre-washed. I would always recommend pre-washing fabric. I'm really making myself do it. Doesn't come naturally, but I am making myself pre-wash fabric at the moment. So I'm going to go press this first and then I will get onto some pattern cutting. As always with my PDF patterns, they've arrived here, I've not cut them out yet, and they're from the pattern printing girl who I found on Instagram and always prints such gorgeous A0 patterns, and she's so much cheaper than a lot of other places. So would recommend her, links below. No affiliate by the way, I just think she's very good at what she does. And always, yeah, I don't have any relationships with any fabric shops. If I do, I will always disclose it. If I'm pattern testing whatever, I will always disclose that. So when I say people are good or whatever, it's generally my opinion, and also if I have any negative opinions, they are my opinion. However, I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be a great day, and yeah, let's get sewing. On the floor. Here I am with my pattern pieces. There's the mess of me cutting out. Yes, I have cut into my pattern, but it's a PDF that I had printed, so I don't care because I own the original. But I've cut it out. I've gone for a size 10 because I fit that on the size chart, but the finished measurements, I know it's baggy anyway, so I'm gonna make a 10, but I think I'm gonna keep that in mind as I sew, so I might make little adjustments just to make it fit me better. But we will see. I'm quite excited to see the fit. So the next stage for me really is cutting out. If anyone else is following this pattern, slightly weird is that there's one piece labelled G that is the, I think it's the template for the actual neckties that says do not cut on it. I've not read ahead to see why that is, but I've obviously not cut it. I've just left it over there in a square with all of the sizes obviously not cut out, so we'll see what happens with those. But there's actually, yeah, there's limited pattern pieces. It should be a fairly simple construction. I'm quite excited to make this enormous rectangle into a sleeve, and spoiler alert, it doesn't go this way. It's this edge goes into the main body of the sleeve, so it's going to be a lot of gathering. So yeah, I'm going to cut these pattern pieces out and then we'll see where we're at. Welcome to day 2. So last night I did my pattern cutting, both of my pieces on my actual fabric, pre-wash, iron, all that kind of stuff. And you joined me this morning with the actual sewing. So here are the instructions. You get these nice kind of coloured PDF ones. They aren't verbally the clearest instructions I've ever worked with. They're not laid out super clearly. However, I'm sure we'll get on just fine. The pictures are very helpful. So the first step is the front bodice. It's a keyhole bodice with raglan sleeves, which means we're going to end up with this line across kind of the shoulder to bust, diagonally each side. There's a keyhole opening, so we're going to have to mark the end of that opening, stitch down the centre from there, and then there's 2 flaps on the bodice piece. So instead of it just going down to a point and you cut it on a fold or something, there's 2 individual pieces and they go up just at the end. So I'll show you a picture of that. So we need to split them, sew them down the middle, split, and then top stitch, so we end up with that lovely kind of folky effect down the middle. I don't really do very much top stitching very often, and I definitely don't do it when it's quite so front and centre, so I'm going to take my time really here. But I'm excited, it's fun to take on a new challenge. So I've sewed the centre seam. Slightly embarrassed to say that the very first step I had to unpick and do again because I didn't quite get the distance right. So if you're doing this, and you see in the pattern it says to draw a line 4 centimetres in from the edge, do it. I didn't. I thought I could probably judge that, and I couldn't. I was ½ centimetre off. So I have unpicked. I did draw the line the second time, as you should be able to see, maybe. No, you can't really see it because it's white. And it's kind of been sewn over. However, now I've got the line in the right place, which is good. And, you know, there's no shame in going slowly. I know this project's going to be slightly more difficult than others, so I'm going to give it a quick press because we're about to top stitch. So I'm going to press to set these stitches here, and then we're going to open out the seam, doing this with you guys so you can see what I mean. So we've got, you should be able to see my little mark there. That's the space you sew down from, because this is like a keyhole opening at the top. So we're going to press this open now. First of all, laying it flat, press your stitches one way then the other to really secure them in, and then you just press the seam open beautifully, and we're top stitching all the way from the top of the neckline, not just from where we've sewed now. I've actually never done proper top stitching. Sorry, I'm trying to talk whilst I am. It's difficult for me. Yeah, I've never done proper top stitching, so I'm a little bit nervous, to be honest. But I, as always, when you guys know, is when I'm doing something new that I'm not entirely sure how to do, gave my mum a quick call a minute ago to ask for her advice. So I'll be doing my top stitching with a 2.5 length stitch. And I did a little practice on a bit of scrap just so I could really practice lining up edges. So what I'm doing is I've pressed my seams one way then the other. If I move the camera so you can see. I'm now pressing them both this way to get the fold on one side, and then I'll press them both back and then open it, because I think that's going to be the best way for me to get a fold. Also, if you're doing this pattern at home and you've chosen, like me, to use a spot cotton, drawing straight lines on spotted cotton is really, really difficult. So if you need to draw that line, I did a little dotted line and then sort of joined it up as best I could, but it is really, really hard to draw a straight line over dotted cotton. So if you're struggling with this, it's not just you, it genuinely really is. So I'm going to press this open now, and then we'll get on to some top stitching. So we're at the machine and we're going to do our top stitching. I'm just going to show you, I've taken a picture of it as well. This is what the inside of the garment looks like. So we've pressed it open, there's a little notch at the top, and I've actually pinned the top of the corners so it's a nice even stitch when we do it. So from the front, which is where we'll be working from the top stitching, can you tell I'm nervous? It looks nice flat like this. It's hard for me to hold up properly, there we go. So it looks beautiful and flat. We're going to top stitch down each edge of the front seam. Little decorative feature, but it also holds and strengthens the centre seam, which is really good. So, first ever go at top stitching. I actually look a bit off. I didn't realise, I was so nervous doing that I actually held my breath while doing that, and then I'm asthmatic, so obviously I ended up very breathless. But here we go. So I'll give it a wee press before I show you guys. I am so proud of this. YouTube, this is my first ever go at top stitching, really. And it was nerve-wracking, as, you know, keeps family friendly. But yeah, it was super intense, but I'm really proud. So let me show you guys my first go at top stitching. Right, so here we are. So that's the centre fold, and we've got top stitching all the way up from the two edges. This is our nice open area, all the way down to the bottom, and I am honestly so proud of this. So I'm going to give this an iron, and then we are on to the next stage. Actually, we go to sleeves and then come back to the main body. So the next step is our sleeves. Our sleeve construction has two steps. There's the sleeve head, which goes down to about the elbow, and then there's these two pieces, there we go, which come from D, which is one of the pattern pieces, that we have to gather to make that lovely bottom of the fluted sleeve. So it's quite a lot to gather here, but it's the standard. So 2 rows of stitches, one 5/8 of an inch in, and the other one 5/8 of an inch after that. I'm using a long stitch. I'm using a 4 length stitch because it's cotton, so I'll need it to gather it properly. So we're going to gather these, so 2 lines of gathers, gather them together, and then attempt to fit them into our sleeve head. I've got, they look enormous actually on camera. Here are my sleeves. So this, use my foot, this is the lower half here, gathered, and obviously the sleeve is open, and that's the upper half. So what we need to do now is, we've got 2 centre notches here, so there's one there, and accordingly one there. We need to match those up and attach them, and then what we will do is, if you have an overlocker, you'll finish the edge with that. If not, zigzag stitch, and then we'll press the seam up. So we'll do one of each, and then we are really on to like main core garment construction. So we're on to garment construction now, really, and I mean like main garments. So to recap, we have got these 2 lovely front bodice pieces, looking lovely. I've left my pins in from when we bind the neck, just for the sake of ease. So we're going to attach our lovely sleeve, which I have overlocked and pressed up, so you get that nice finish. Well, not overlocked, I've used the overlock stitch on my machine, I wish I had an overlocker. And we're going to attach the front, which is the one with 1 notch, to the front edge of the garment, so we'll end up with the first line of our raglan sleeve. So that's the first step now. I'm going to be sewing slightly slower this evening because I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I've got a good old crime drama on while I sew, and it's going to be good. We're taking this slow, so there's no mistakes, being nice and careful, and I'm looking forward to the result. I've done the first side and I've stopped halfway through because I want to show you guys. It looks really weird, so if anyone else is sewing along, I don't want them to think that they've done something weird or wrong. So what you do is you attach the sleeve to the front bodice at the raglan sleeve, so it sits like that. Then you have the sleeve, and then it attaches to the back the same way. So you end up with something very long that looks like this. See me through it. There you go. So what we're going to do now is do the same on the other side. So we'll end up with a connected garment with open sleeves, and then what we're going to do is turn it through so it's right sides together. I'm going to sew all along the sleeve and underarm in one big stitch, which is just, yeah, normally you kind of sew the sleeves and then insert them. This is not the case with this. I quite like it actually, it's quite fun. But yeah, just in case anyone is sewing along and thinks, oh god, what have I done, this isn't right, you're fine, don't worry. So once we've done that step, I'm going to do that all in a one-up because it's the same as what I've just done. And then I will show you guys where we are. I know it's been quite a lot of time-lapse sewing on this one because I'm so concentrated I can barely talk while I sew. You know, as of earlier, it's a struggle to breathe as well while I sew at the moment. So here we are. I'm really chuffed with this so far. If I lay it over the body, you can see we've got our nice centre front opening. Yeah. Sleeve is sat on the raglan line. There. All open, and then it goes through to the back as well. So not a great demonstration, but at least something to show you sort of how it's going to sit. I'm really, really excited to get this finished actually. It seems like it's quite a slow sew, but the fact is there's actually very few steps. It's kind of just the front bit, the middle is fiddly, that's your first bit. And then from there, it's all pretty straight sewing. The other exciting thing I want to show you guys quickly is I finally got to use the overlock stitches on my machine because I don't have an overlocker. I would like one actually, there's a chance I can get one. But at the moment I don't have one. However, my machine does have quite a few little stitches. So here is a lovely overlock stitch that my machine does. There it is. Which I'm quite chuffed with, so I'm going to then trim when I finish basically. I'm going to go along and just trim up to this edge so it doesn't fray. But this goes along with my promise I made in my summer makes video where I am actually going to start finishing the edges on my garments. Finding out my machine has an overlock stitch has made that kind of promise to myself suddenly a lot more palatable, so very excited. And now to do the other sleeve, and then we're going to do the side seams. So we're back. Here we are. Our lovely garment starting to actually look like a shirt. Yay! So the sides are sewn up. I'm actually going to show you guys my sides because I'm really, really proud of how they're finished. So, you know, you guys get to be the first to see that. Look at that. See if it focuses. There we go. I have overlocked, well, I've used the overlock stitch and then I've trimmed, and honestly they're the neatest garment edges of my life, so that's a big achievement. Now we are pretty much on to our final like actual attaching things stage, and that is neck binding and the neckties. So that means we need our lovely E piece, which is 2 long pieces that we're going to stitch together at this end and press open. And then we can bind properly. We cut this on the bias, so obviously it's just bias binding really, and then it's going to continue longer than the neck to form our ties. Now here is also where we use this very strange piece called G that says do not cut, and what it actually means, it's quite badly labelled, what it actually means is don't cut it in the fabric, but we are going to cut it out to actually use. So when it's got notches on it that you can match to the notches on top of your garment, and we're going to fold the centre back together, and then what we do is we're going to pin it in place in the centre back, and we're going to run lines of gathering stitches all the way around the neck, and we're going to shrink it So we're going to gather it so that this bit is as long as this, or that at least is what the pattern pieces appear to say. So I'm going to have a go at this. I'll be honest, I am really struggling with the instructions for this pattern. I really don't think they're very clear. The pattern itself is beautiful and makes a fantastic garment. I think, you know, it's gorgeous, but I really would say it's not very clear. The diagrams are more useful than the text, but it's really, like, I've actually had to really sit and read and reread the instructions to kind of understand what I'm doing, and even then they're not the clearest. So don't worry if you're following along with this yourself and going, oh my goodness, I'm struggling. So am I. Don't worry, we will get there. So I'm going to pin this on and have a go at gathering it, and then we'll see how we get on. So I've sewn my binding together. Here we go. I'm going to press it open, and then this will be ready to bind the neck. Obviously it is quite long, so go all the way around and then be able to tie, and obviously we'll thin down as we bind. What I am going to say is I've had another look at this and I'm still finding it slightly baffling. I don't know if this is me, maybe me and the pattern instructions don't quite understand each other, but basically I need to run, the first thing I'm going to do now is run the gathering stitches, which are 0.8 of a centimetre, which is about 3/8 of an inch, somewhere around there. And we're going to run one there and then one 1.2 centimetres, which is just a bit over, just under 5/8 an inch, so say half an inch. So we're going to run those two apart right around the top edge so we can gather it in to reduce the neckline size. And to do that we use this template with the notches. Not entirely sure how that matches up with the necktie because there's no notches on the necktie the neck binding pattern piece. There's no notches, so I don't know if it matches with notches in here. I'm not sure, but we will find out. I am certain of that, and regardless, this is my last stage, so hopefully I can fathom it and create a pretty awesome looking garment. So let's see how I get on. I have gathered the neckline. It didn't seem possible, but it's been done. So there we go. We then pin, the centre back is there. You can match the notches if you want to. It's probably wise to, I haven't. And then match the front. There we go, a lot of gathering. So now we need to attach the neck binding all the way around, and then we are pretty much done. So here we are, final stage, back in the morning, and you can see my neck binding has got pretty much all the pins I own in it, all the way around. It's not the best neck binding in the world, as you can see on the back. This is the inside. I've missed some of the gathers because I think I did them too deeply, but at least on the other side I've managed to enclose them fully in the binding, so it might be a little bit bigger than it's meant to be, but I don't care as long as you can't really see the gathers on the front, we're good. And then you end up with ties all the way like this. So all I've got to do now is stitch these, and then I've got to hem the bottom and hem the sleeves, and then genuinely that's it, we're done. the neck binding is attached, and actually it does not look that bad. I'm quite proud of it. So last step now, I'm going to quickly hem the sleeves. I'm going to do a fairly light hem on these because I don't want them to be too heavy. But I might try it on quickly and just see how far down they go to see if I need to trim it at all. And then we are hemming the bottom and we're done. So this is unbelievably exciting. This top actually has very few complex stages, but a lot of it just requires thought. Like, you guys really have followed me throughout a whole week of sewing. Because I've really made myself stop whenever I get tired because I didn't want to mess it up. So I'm really, really proud of the result so far. So some finishing hems and then we'll be done. Here we are. I love this. It's so comfortable. I love the sleeves. I think it looks really cute, like tucked in. I think it's got a nice kind of blousey silhouette. I really like it. I'm really proud actually of the neckties and how even the front V is. I also quite like it open. It's got a slightly piratey vibe. It's really fun. Yeah, so I'm really proud of this make, and I'm gonna go take some pictures of it now.